Hello, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords. For one last time, at least when it regards the Andor series, we are coming to you with our podcast. As usual, I'm joined with my co-host Eric, and surprise, surprise, tonight Nico is joining us again to give us his impression on the show as a whole and the final three episodes as well. So, let's start with our friend Nico. What's new, Nico? Since the last time we spoke on the air.
Well, it's been going good. Thanks for having me tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing lots of stuff with my podcast, my own thing with On Jase Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
We had the big at last a great product, a great movie from Marvel Studios, the Thunderbolts. That was a great surprise for us. So we had a lot of fun doing the reviews about the movies and all the events we went. We had a giveaway for movie tickets, and we did a meetup and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. So that's on my Marvel parts and Star Wars things. Well, we all watched Andor. It was pretty good, and
Mm-hmm.
had a birthday last 2 weeks ago or last week, well, 2 weeks ago, and I got lots of stuff from Star Wars. So a
Mm-hmm.
couple of helmets, couple of lightsabers, stuff like that. So it was cool.
Great, great. What about you, Eric?
Nothing. Just been, I guess, chugging along and stuff like that. Getting back in the routine of work life and work balance and all that stuff. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet. We had our tournament, I think, for our Star Wars, the game that I've been kind of showcasing on my Instagram, and so that's about. I don't know if I had said it last time or if it was this week, but yeah, finished in the top four, got some prize cards and stuff like that, and
Cool.
that's yeah. So it's been pretty quiet since then. Usually after a tournament, things die off and we play a different mode, which is different than what we had played together. What I showed you, it's more of like a
Mm-hmm.
what is known more as in Magic the Gathering as a commander. So it's you have more than you have more leaders and you play 1v1v1v1 like it's four players like a free for all. So it's
Ooh.
just so we usually change it to a different mode until the next set, and plenty of new stuff that keeps getting revealed on the Instagram. So keep a lookout for that.
All right. Well, I've kept quiet for since last week. I mean, spent a lot of dough 2 weeks ago for Main Fort, so the spendings are pretty much done for a little while. I got confirmation this weekend that my stuff has left California for my friend Ryan, so reviews are probably going to get on the way. I just hope that my packages won't get stuck in
Yes.
Canada Post strike. One was sent through UPS, so should be okay. The MSC Droid, because USPS didn't want to take over that package before because of the
Sheer
lithium
size of it.
battery.
Oh no, okay, okay.
No, because of the lithium battery, so they told my friend to use UPS. But the lightsabers are coming through USPS, so yeah, fingers crossed that it won't get stuck in the no man's land if there's a strike.
I missed that MSE droid drop. I was like 22,000 people in line when I
Jeez.
got inside the shop. It was already sold out. So I was pretty sad about it. But I'll see. I'll come play with yours when you
Yeah,
get it.
it might be a blessing in disguise, Nico, because just the shipping for the MSC droid
Yeah,
costs more than the retail price of the MSC droid. So
Jeez, yeah, and
yeah,
yeah, it's huge.
I hope you don't get hit with customs and tariffs and all this kind of stuff because it's going to be a
uh,
very expensive droid. You could have just made one or get Stefan, our friend, to
yeah.
make you
Well,
one.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure it would have been
Yeah, well,
cheaper,
I
but
checked about making one. So you have to buy your RC car, and then you have to print the whole thing. So depending on the type of RC cars you buy, well,
Yeah.
hmm,
it can be expensive too. So
yeah.
All right, let's get on to this. Andor got a lot to cover, and we're going to give our final impressions on the show. So,
Hmm.
I guess now we're at BBY 1 when this all
Yep.
starts.
yep,
So
And we finished almost BBY zero at near the
yep.
end. So
yeah, almost connects directly. So I mean, we recap real quick episode 10. We had Lonnie reaching out to Luthen through his his phone call or whatever, his phone that he was
top
always
secret
wondering
radio.
if he was always wondering if someone would actually pick up. I think he made one of those comments, and obviously transfers the information that he had found through Deidre's files, and unfortunately that's the end of Lonnie because Luthen is ruthless and doesn't leave any
Well, as soon as I heard him tell they would be going to Yavin, I was like, oh,
Yeah, you know too much.
Lonnie's done. Yeah,
he can't. Yeah,
he already knows too much.
Yeah. It's you know what, like, what was your impression of Lonnie? Like, I almost thought I thought it was his son or something at one point.
Yeah, well, I really liked him. I thought he was being a good soldier.
Yeah.
For the rebellion, he was very loyal to Luthen. Unfortunate circumstances, I guess, because there's always the possibility that he has already been turned by the Empire.
Yeah.
And he would betray the rebellion and be like what, triple agent, something like that. So.
But I always felt like as far back as the season 1 when we saw him, I felt like there was like a personal connection, and I thought maybe they were related or something, and that never came out, and obviously it probably isn't. But like I just felt like it's almost like he saw Luthen almost as a father figure in my impression. I don't know if you guys agree, but like there was something there that
maybe he saved his life and
he needed his approval. Basically, I just felt like he needed Luthen's approval, and he was at his beck and call. And even though Luthen goes, no, you're not getting out of this. Tough 3. He stuck to it, like you said, extremely loyal. So I question why he was just that loyal, but it didn't turn out like there was any information that they were related or anything. So
yeah, so I'm on the info. Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, but I think it's Luthen's strength that's how he operates. You know, he makes you believe in the cause. He's really gonna push you to do the right thing or the things that he needs to be done.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to sacrifice everything, like he said. So I think it was just something like that. So he was so good to him, like you're gonna be important in the rebellion. And he was, but he knew so much at the end. Yeah. So he couldn't do anything else. He couldn't leave him alone.
It was unfortunate for Lonnie, unfortunate for him, and unfortunate for a lot of the characters, I guess. If you move forward through these last 3 episodes and even the previous ones.
So he passes on 3 very important info. So first one, well, mostly stuff we already knew from the outside, but A, the energy plan is a lie. B, Gorman was a setup from the beginning just to make sure they would be able to get the Kalkite. And C, they're not looking for partisans on Jeddah, but they are looking for kyber crystals. So, and that's the energy source for lightsabers in small scale.
Yeah.
But in big scale, it powers up the Death Star. So
I think he said it was for a weapon because Clea was repeating weapon, Jeddah, Kyber, and I think Gorman
and Galen Urso.
Galen Urso. It's just like the words she was trying to use. So that's what we see a little bit later. I think that was more episode 2. But speaking of Clea, I mean, we finally got to see her backstory, and I've seen criticism, I guess, online of like, you know, these were the last 3 episodes. Was it the good timing to go and put a Clea backstory in these things? And I think like in a lot of ways, I think I saw it in our own chat that we've seen as well. You know, how maybe some of the episodes were not necessary the way it was formulated, but I think there had to be, like, after so much was going on, there had to be a little bit of a downward arc in terms of like the drama and stuff, because if you go back and watch you know, the last, even I'm skipping ahead to the last few like maybe the last 20 minutes of the 3rd episode, there's not much going on in terms of action and intensity, but they're just wrapping the story up, right? So True. I think that this is part of that kind of wrapping of the story, that let's give give her screen time and let's really respect her, because she was just always kind of Luthen's right hand. And it was interesting to see where he got her from. And then we could talk right about now about, like, you know, the I guess the theories of who she is, or we can keep that for maybe a little bit later as well. But yeah, so we got to see some of the stuff where Luthen trains her as she's still a kid to kind of be ruthless
And at the time, he was called Sergeant Lear.
yeah.
And if you read Lear backwards, it's Rail.
Oh,
So
So
that's just the switch of his name. He just
put it
put it
backwards.
reverse.
yeah.
But I think what we saw about Clea and Luthen's relationship is that I think Clea was the main drive for Luthen. She was the ruthless one.
Yeah.
She was the one that was she had something against
She
the
had a grudge
Empire.
against the Empire.
Yeah, she had a grudge, and everything Luthen did was because of her. She
Yeah.
drive him towards all those actions. So
I agree with you. She was the catalyst.
she
or
was
engine.
the real. That's why she had a cold stare all throughout season
Yeah,
one,
right.
and
It's
season
interesting.
two.
I hadn't really thought of it, but yeah, this is
she's a
true,
killer.
Thinking back at it, because he was obviously the more, I guess, by saving her and like kind of bringing her in, he had a more of a soft spot, right? But in the end, he was completely not like that. No matter what soft spot he had, that was out the window. He did what he had to do. Right? So
Can you guys believe it's her first role coming out of school?
yeah, that's what I read as well.
That's impressive. I mean,
Yeah,
she's gonna have a bright career.
yeah. It's unfortunate.
She was great.
In my opinion, I think she should have been cast as like some kind of like the same way they talk about Sebastian Stan should be cast as Luke Skywalker. I think she should have been cast as Leia, because even early, I think we had spoken about in the first season, I was like, man, that she's got such a good look for it. I even saw some people saying like that it would come out that it's Leia, but that's impossible because like.
Yeah, well, her name is so close to Leia. It's like Leia.
I know,
but
Leia. I know, but like Leia's living in like a royal life,
She
right?
was 14.
Somewhere, and,
she was 14 years old in the first season, so or 13, something like that. So she was not.
Yeah. There was no way.
Leia.
It would have been interesting to kind of, but like I think that would have felt too forced. People would have gone nuts in terms of like I guess the timeline. Or stuff like that, or with canon, they would have been like, "This just doesn't work," right?
Yeah, and I heard Tony Gilroy saying that he tried to get a Leia cameo on the show, but it was just not working with the main storyline.
I think it was Leia, Palpatine, and even Vader, and it just didn't fit. It would have felt forced. I really, no pun intended, but it just wouldn't have fit in.
But yeah, I think it's more like the look of her face. She looked a lot like what we remember Carrie Fisher looks like. I mean, or Leia looks like. She was not looking. It's not a copycat for Carrie Fisher, but I mean the aura that she was giving, the strength of the person felt really close to Leia. So that's why we made the.
I think physically as well, she had that kind of look as well. I think she could have pulled it off.
Yeah, she could have pulled it off for sure.
If she could pull off Leia as much as what was his name, the guy who played in Solo, could pull off Harrison Ford. Right?
Yeah,
Alden
Ehrenreich.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think or Sebastian Stan clearly. I mean, how many times have you seen these memes about his face being photoshopped and you can't even tell that it's him, right? So. If we move on to episode 11, we start off with what was probably one of the most intense moments.
But just to finish episode 10, the scene in the hospital at the end.
Oh yeah. Sorry, skipping ahead. That was
well,
that whole infiltration
and Luthen in the gallery first.
Yeah.
Talk about tension.
Yeah.
That's how you film tension.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good scene, and obviously
when Luthen says that there are two things that could be fake in the gallery, I mean, obviously, okay, the knife, but the other thing that is fake, it's him. He's talking about him.
Yeah.
It's not who she thinks he is. Well, she does, but so yeah, that was pretty.
That
fun.
scene also, the meeting of Dedra and Axis or Luthen was so great.
She finally catches him, and
she was so.
But she doesn't come in and arrest him right away. There's like a battle of wits. They're just like. I know you're fucked. He knows he's fucked.
Yeah. Almost like a Tarantino movie dialogue. When they talk and they pretend not to be who they are, and then, bam, we get the, he stabs himself with the knife and everything. So.
Yeah, exactly. You talk about Tarantino. It reminds me of was it Michael Fassbender that's in Inglorious Bastards when he's talking to the Nazi. You know, he holds up the 3 fingers for 3, and when he does that, the girl says, "You held it up." He goes, "There's a German way, and then there's the English way," and he holds up the 3 the different way, and then she knew that he gave himself up at that moment, and then they're still having the conversation. And then there's just when the standoff happens, but yeah, it's the same thing as that. But yeah, very, like you said, very Tarantino-esque, I guess, of a scene.
And bringing the Star Patrol unit, you know, was like, yeah, I know who you are, but it kind of betrayed him. You know, the first arc, season 1, you know, comes full circle with last arc, season 2.
Yeah, with the
box.
Data,
Yeah.
the box.
Yeah, the Star Patrol unit.
She had been keeping that all this time to just get ready to throw it in his face. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, like you said, ending with the infiltration of the scene and Clea having to do what's necessary. Again, we talked about ruthlessness before, and you know, herself having to do what's necessary.
They know what to do.
Yeah.
They know what to do.
Because Dedra's so confident. She's like, when he wakes up, you know, he'll be ready, and then get ready to talk. Like, not happening. And you know,
he knows too much.
So, so on that point, that's where we had the beginning. Now we're jumping to episode 11 with the interrogation of Dedra from Krennic. Like, that to me is, and there was another one.
Yeah,
that was intense.
Yeah. So, and then you saw, like, I've seen it a few times on the internet how the improvisation of wasn't
the finger
on the head and everything, and her reaction was just so good. Like, just like, you know, kind of like he had such high hopes, I guess, for her, and in the end, like her notes and whatever that were read by Lonnie and everything, and you know, just how much information now has gone out because of you.
Yeah. Well, as the meme says, she was in the group chat, so
yeah.
But he says something at the end too, like on the way out. She says, "You know, I can probably help." He goes, "Oh, we'll like sarcastic. We'll try to manage without you." You know, like it's.
Yeah. But he also says, if you're not a rebel spy, you missed your calling or something like that. Like, you had so much information, and you went all the way back from the back of everybody else to do what her investigation instead of just going through the usual way. She looked so much like she was a spy that she got caught.
Her pride got in the way, and ultimately got Cyril killed.
Yeah,
and got in the way again.
Well, Cyril got killed himself too.
Yeah, but I mean, like by him running out, like by not keeping me in the loop, all this stuff, like, you know, like that's when he ran out, and you know, then
no, but I mean, if he would have just let go of Cassian,
yeah,
he would have been he would have been alive.
You know? He would have been alive, yeah, for
sure.
And
then, you know, then again, her pride, like trying to, like, I guess, I don't know, she's trying to prove a point by fighting him, doing it all herself, and all this stuff, and in the end, with Lonnie getting access to those files, and you know, she got herself in a deeper trouble. So
because she had files that she was not supposed to have, somebody from the inside got access to those files, so that it's kind of if you're in school and you have a test and you leave your answer sheets kind of open for other people's. Well, you're as
to watch.
But she was competing with Hirt, right? At that point, like, as well. So she didn't want him to get any of the glory. She was trying to regain what she had lost in terms of, like.
Yeah, because she was like at his face when she said, "You'll get to get all the glory," you know. I just want to help out. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I mean, and then further on that. So we have ISB that was searching for Clea, and it was here that ended up hiring some kind of like squad or like Rambo squad, or I don't know, like
what about the excuse they used to catch her first? You know, they pretend that she's
like
been contaminated.
Exactly. Yeah, that was
from her visit in the hospital, and now she's
I'm surprised they were still playing that game at this point.
All
like,
the lies.
Just go get her. At this point, like,
and you see that Hirt is like a newbie. You know, what should I do? And Partagas is like the vet. You know, with all the experience. Pretend she's
whatever
contagious. You know,
find a way.
Who cares
I think it's just a way to keep the lie from the Empire that they're in control, and if people knew because we have to arrest that person. She's like a rebel spy or something like that.
Some people might help her out instead of
because there's cracks in the armor, and so saying that she's contaminated and she's a threat to safety of everybody. Well, it's easier for people to talk where she is instead of just like, oh, she's doing the good thing for the people.
And then we saw, I think we, you know what, was Cassian even in episode 10 at this point? I don't even think we.
Well,
maybe some talks.
No, like, he's not in my notes. So
I just kind of like remembered now, like, because like I remember you see him now, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is going on. I guess so. This we see he's taken off with Melshi and K2 to go and retrieve Clea. For her distress call. But I'm trying to remember if we see him. No, because the first time we see him, I think it's in episode 11. They're playing.
They played the Space Dominance.
Yeah. So that was the first time. So then we have that kind of final scene where Hertz assembles his team and goes to try to retrieve Clea, and then but they get there first, and Clea lets them know about all the information that she knew that she got before that. So and that was not one of the first times, I guess, but like one of the first times I could remember where it leaves off on a bit of a cliffhanger, like, oh, something's gonna happen, and cut. So usually they each fine episode had a decent little wrapping, but this one was more like oh, crap's gonna go down. I don't know if you have anything else you want to recall from episode 11, but
we have K2SO, the first like real activity, like real interaction with K2SO when they're playing with cards and stuff like that. So that was pretty fun to see his humor back, because this reprogram, because the last time we saw him just waking up on the table.
So did you guys see the I guess you probably saw the memes too, where when Cyril entered that room and all the droids were there, one looked over at him.
When that happened, I just said that's the one.
K2.
Yeah, so that's it. But they showed pictures of like the markings on his like, I don't know, scuffing or exactly. That was actually him. So it's kind of funny because he still had that. There's something about his face, right? Like just that look. I thought that was funny. Whether it would have been him or not, I just thought those droids make me laugh.
He's just a big kid, right?
Yeah, but the droids look kind of like not innocent, but they don't look like. But then, like, go back and see like what happened on Gorman. They're kicking the barricades, and what we ultimately end up seeing in episode 2, which is like finally the confrontation with Hertz's team and Caston. Like he's just like always comes and saves the day. He's just so strong.
Absolutely, yeah.
I absolutely love the interactions with those droids, and it's unfortunate.
He comes in and saves the day.
And like you said last time, Dom, the interactions while we were playing Jedi Survivor were a little less interesting because they were just so damn tough to beat sometimes. But yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're gonna see any more of these Cassian or characters or Andor characters now, probably ever. I think that's pretty much the end of it. But especially, who knows? I mean, considering
I don't agree with you. I mean, there's some comic books that could be written.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
novels, stuff like that.
that
could flesh out, for example, Clea's story. Vel, maybe more about Luthen's backstory.
But I mean, like more like the K2 Cassian kind of like dynamic is pretty much done. I mean, in terms of, like you said, it could be comics or books or anything like that, but on screen that's it. They close the gap, right? Like that's pretty much it.
And then they decide to go the animated route, but I don't think they will.
I'm not sure that they're gonna go that way either. So the confrontation, you got Clea, not Clea. Clea, Cassian, they all leave back and go back to Yavin and report off their information, which is met with kind of like hesitation by the newly founded, I guess, rebellion, and so skepticism about how valid the information is. Like I say, Clea like regurgitating the names of Galen and all this stuff and the weapon. So I'm not sure why they met it with such hesitation, just because I guess because it came from Luthen and they just absolutely still refuse to trust him, or
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
a bit like Saw. They don't really trust those people that are too much too activists. Like they're too
Extremists. Yeah.
much extreme. Yeah. So I think they were just like, nah. It's even though he was the one that made everything possible,
Yeah.
they were like, we have to take our times, but sometimes in dire times you have to act before you think. Yeah.
but there was that
Yeah.
interaction with Mothma and Saw, right? Like on the
Yeah, and you clearly see that they are like worlds apart when it comes to their philosophy.
yeah.
Mon's like a little bit more prudent, and Sai is at the other end of the spectrum, being,
Paranoid
we
as
need you
well.
act now,
Yeah.
So, and somewhere in the middle comes Cassian with the intel, and they have that little round table with Bail Organa. There's like Admiral Radis is there. Who else? Let me check my notes. Senator Pablo and the Senator Noel Jamel, who were both in the Rogue One movie. And Senator Pablo, we saw her in the Bad Batch animated series as well. So,
So the one thing I thought about when I saw, again, when I saw, I guess, was the timeline. I was trying to think. I mean, obviously at this point, Jin is adult is very close in terms of the timeline at that point. But
yeah,
like meanwhile, he had gone back a few years. I'm trying to remember like how old she was, or even if they let. But when he went and rescued her, this whole time,
yeah, she was like 6, I think, when she rescued
so
her.
it's like, so all this time is like we never hear of her, but like Saw's in the episodes popping up here and there throughout these 2 seasons.
Yeah, but I think they in the movie he says it's been 15 years since she was with Saw, so or something like that. There was a big gap, so
okay, so
5 years prior,
so he's
she was
beyond,
not in. Yeah, she was not in the with him.
Saw's entourage.
Okay. So I was trying to remember like that, but I guess you're right. Like I couldn't remember when the
Because
timeline
when she sees him, she tells him like, last time I saw you, you gave me a gun and told me something, and you disappeared, and I never saw you again. So.
And now after watching Andor, like, yeah, that sounds like him, right? Like you get a lot more context into.
Well, at least I gave you a gun, so you're safe, you know.
Yeah.
So speaking of bitter ends, we had Partagas as well.
Yeah.
So what did you think about that one?
Yeah. So we see Legret coming in the ISB conference room where we always saw Partagas, and funny thing, in the first moment we saw Partagas, he was always surrounded by other ISB agents, and now he's alone in the conference room, and he's alone in his life because he's about to get dismissed by the Empire. So he asked for one last favor from Legret, and he has to be left alone, and then he commits suicide to avoid being tortured, imprisoned,
dishonored, stuff like that.
Yeah, dishonored, stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I see him getting tortured, but obviously he was going to be accountable for letting the rebellion grow to the point that they were, and the messages that were being out there.
We would have get the good old Vader choke,
Yeah. But yeah, so that was one of his bitter ends. And then if you want to go even further, like into some of the bitter ends, I guess we'll get close to the last scene. But we saw a conversation with Vels talking to Cassian about trying to reconnect with Bix also at one point. With some interactions with Vel and Clea. So that's where, like I said, it was like a bit of a kind of like slowing down process rather than try to end like the way that we think, that we remember Rogue One leads right up to that moment.
Yeah, so it's like more of a patching job, make sure that all no stones are left unturned, and everything is connected with what we see in Rogue One. And one of the very last dialogues is that Draven, the general of the rebellion, tells Cassian that Tivik has been trying to call him for 10 hours, something like that, and he wants to meet him on the rings of Kafrene, which is among the first scenes, not the first one, but among the first ones that we
Timeline-wise,
see
it's the
in,
first scene, yeah, because we have a flashback at the
if
at
we
the start of the movie, and then if you
Mhm.
come back to timeline, it's
if
the
we
first
remove
scene.
the Galen or so and Jin as a kid,
Yeah.
true. So and we all know what happens to Tivik. He has to kill him because he's not able to escape the
He does
stormtroopers. So
the good old Luthen move.
yeah,
kill your
yeah, he
informant.
learned from the best.
Yeah.
Kill your informant.
So, what did you think about Deidre's end?
Deidre's fate. Oh, that was perfect in my
Yeah.
own opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter which president it is, but I heard it was Narkina 2 instead of Narkina 5.
Okay.
Uh,
Maybe because it's
I got
women or something in that one, or
I got a fun meme that showed her with having a book in her hands and saying, "Learn how to swim."
yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
It was pretty funny, but yeah. What about the
Yeah, but
downward spiral for her? And
I
downfall?
joked about it, right? At least she's kind of helping to build the Death Star
The
now.
Death
She's
Star.
still
Yeah, she's still contributing
yeah.
to.
Well,
help
at
the
that point, the
Empire.
Death Star is pretty much is
Done.
it done? Yeah,
Well,
it's
close.
Yeah,
already-
it's pretty much done because we see the dish coming in Rogue One, and
Yeah.
there's the whole when we see Critic for the last time as well with the big hole for the dish. So
But
yeah,
did we see a number behind her? I don't remember. I forgot to
No,
pay
I don't
attention.
think so.
Yeah, I would have been curious to see what number she had on because she was in her cell, right? So
yeah.
it would have
a
been
number of
interesting.
days,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. I don't think so, eh?
They just put on the screen. Don't even bother counting.
Yeah.
No, we don't see it.
Imagine if Cassian got like what was it, 6 years or something for what he had
Yeah.
done, or which was basically nothing. Yeah, she's in there. She's never coming out.
She's screwed. No,
So
unless the prison is rescued by the rebellion,
right, yeah.
and she ends up getting freed by the one she tried to eliminate or imprison. Who knows?
Yeah.
Another comic book coming out.
Yeah, right. And then to go back to what I was trying to connect here with Clay, I guess, is there some theories that perhaps her being Cassian's sister because of the final scene that we have, I guess, with Cassian right before, like, it's the very end. He gets he dreams about his sister, which I thought, we never got to see what happened with the sister, and his first scene was him looking for her, and I always thought, okay, well, maybe this would be some of the premise. Never talked about it for the rest of the season, pretty much. Then season 2 again, nothing, and then that's it. The only thing we see is this little flashback of seeing her before he left, and the way I see it is like he never came back. But like I don't know, like I had a hard time reading into what they were trying to portray with that.
Yeah, it was totally Gilroy trying to torture us. That hey, you're never gonna get to know what happened to.
Yeah, I didn't forget about it, but you're still not gonna know.
Comic book number 3.
But the thing that I had thought of earlier is that him looking for his sister triggered everything. It's because of that
the obsession that he got to kill.
Saru was looking, and then after that, Deidre was looking, and all this stuff because Luthen was going to go meet him anyway, right? But like Cyril and because Luthen was he had already heard about him and all this stuff, right? So it was regardless of him, I think, killing the officers, if I'm correct. But like the way that like Cyril that him looking for his sister led to basically Cyril's obsession, and also Deidre in a way. So,
well, I think Deidre would have been on the same path. What that thing meant when we got to Cyril's death was just the obsession of a guy that wanted to make it straight or do it by the book.
Yeah,
he just had an obsession until the end. And 5 years later, he just couldn't let it go, and got
exactly
himself
right.
killed.
In a time when you thought he could maybe turn, or he seemed to have turned a bit of a leaf.
Dedra was Dedra before she met Cyril,
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Dedra would have been
she
on
was
the same
already
path.
after Luthen at that point. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Cyril just got killed for nothing, and I was not there for your previous breakdowns, but just the who are you? Like the
Oh, yeah.
So after all that
like,
time, he
but I
still.
said
He
it
has
like
moved on, but Cyril has
Yeah,
not moved on. Right?
yeah, he never moved. Well, Cassian never knew he was getting hunted by that guy.
Yeah.
True.
On Ferrix, it was just a bunch of Morlana cops that came to get him. So he never had that like obsession towards that guy. Cyril was just obsessed because he killed 2 corrupted cops that was in a brothel one night. They were completely out of
wrong
their
place,
way,
wrong moment.
and he couldn't let it go, and that got him killed in the end.
This is kind of like moment of hesitation when you realize like, oh, this person I've been hunting my whole life I'm nobody.
Doesn't even know.
Right?
Yeah.
Because his whole life of being nobody and trying to make something, and then his arch enemy is like, who the hell are you, right? So yeah.
Another funny, not funny, but interesting moment was when Vel got to give her coat to Clea. I mean, they've been like some sort of rivals since the beginning, with Luthen. And
true.
It was like, okay, Luthen's gone. Now we're both on the same side with the same mission. So what's in the past is in the past, and let's look forward and let's work together. I thought it was pretty cool. So
there's also Clea can kind of like stop. She can probably be herself now. It doesn't have to like do this, I guess.
Always look behind her back to see if somebody is on tour or something, she
putting on an act or anything like that. It's just like now she can finally like let go a bit. So I was happy. I mean, she felt like she obviously in a rough spot like towards the end, but like at the end she looked like she was kind of like, it was relief that she can kind of move on, right? So especially after everything she had done, how loyal she had been and what she had to do for Luthen in the end, right?
Yeah.
So,
and when she saw how organized the rebellion was on Yavin, it was like a reward in some sort
it
for
gave
her.
hope for what all they had sacrificed. So
another important moment I think is the Force healer we saw in the previous arc. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a theory of my own, and is that she got to see what would happen to Cassian when she healed his shoulder. By that I mean that he was going to die. And in the last arc, when she looks at him as he is going into what's going to turn out to be his final mission, I think she knows that he's not gonna.
Yeah, this is the end.
Yeah,
this is about the end for him. Yeah, so
I'd have to rewatch it and
but she has a sad face. She picks up the box and she's like lingering looks towards Cassian, and she's like, or more contemplative looks.
Yeah,
complacent.
So, and we get a little montage of everyone doing their own stuff. We see Val and Mon eating at a table with her new fellow rebels. And then who else we see here? We see Deidre in jail. We see
the husband. We see the husband also with his new girlfriend.
New girlfriend.
Perrin with his new girlfriend. So.
Yeah, being
doing his thing.
Devil's Calder's wife. Yeah, so he's drinking away his sadness. So much for joy he was talking about at her daughter's wedding. So find the joy. Yeah, right. And then we see the ultimate heartbreaking moment.
Well, before that, we see the long walk of Cassian Andor in his Andor
jacket.
And the whole scene is like following. Well, the cameras.
So it takes off
his tracking.
Takes off in his ship, which
the U-wing, the famous U-wing.
Yeah,
it's funny because like I'm just gonna like talk about the game for a second, but there's a very popular card in in Star Wars Unlimited. It's a Ewing reinforcement. It's very popular, like one of the big cards that you can get. Like it's funny because like every time I see the Ewing now, I just see in a whole new light. And even the last set was all ships, and I know that you know Dom and even you, Nico, like you know the names of all these ships. Like now I'm like, oh yeah, so now it's completely changed the perspective and the context now when I see this stuff. So but yeah, I love the Ewing ship personally. Like for a gamer this.
In my mind, it was way bigger than that. From
too.
Rogue One, I thought it was super huge of a ship.
Yeah.
But in Andor, they made it like it's a sports car, like it's a super small car or ship.
Yeah,
you know?
well, there's like a cargo space in the back. You know,
Yeah, but it looked bigger in the Rogue One because they fit like 12 people in there, and now it's like
six.
3 people, 6 max.
Yeah.
But let's get to the scene we're going to allude to there, Dominic, which is the final scene, which kind of, first of all, the music is just like, oh my God.
Everything's perfect at that moment, right?
And then you see, for me, I was really happy to see B2.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, dancing around with another little droid. So he's not lonely. He just seems so sad all the time. He was always missing Cassian. And then, so it's just like, I was so glad to see him just like playing around. And then as it goes to the field, you're just like, okay, we're gonna see, I guess, what's going on with Bix, and then total heartbreak.
A baby.
Yeah. So,
but she,
it completely. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's happy. She's looking toward the horizon, and she has all the hopes that Cassian will come back, and that everything's going to be okay, and then we know what happens. So that was heartbreak, for sure.
So it's funny because like obviously by seeing that we know now why she left, obviously, right? And basically like the way I've described it is that she's the hero, one of the, because without her sacrifice, her ultimate sacrifice as she does, none of this happens. Because there's no way Cassian
would have went along. No, for sure.
If he knew, there was no way he was going. And
he would have left with her and took care of the baby and everything. So yeah.
So her doing that,
he was ready.
Yeah,
he was ready even before we knew she had a baby. To like, I'm not doing it anymore. I did everything I could, so I'm staying in the in the lodge, in the tree house or whatever.
But it was Val that went back and spoke to her, right, and told her like, you know, how far, like, you know, he's not going to do this. You know, you're gonna have to learn to like either let him go or kind of like he's not gonna, as long as you're there, you're kind of like holding him back, kind of like in other words, right? So, but yeah, like so like, first of all, it absolutely changes the context to Rogue One. Makes it even sadder that, you know, what he's leaving behind. And, you know, if only he knew, man, there's, like I said, there's no way he would have bailed on the rebellion at the drop of a dime. Like there's, you know, so it's her ultimate sacrifice. And yeah, looking out, like you said, like I don't even know if does she think like he's coming back, or she just know that, you know, she's done the right thing and she has confidence that, you know, he'll do the right thing. It was just
maybe she's just like happy that maybe the galaxy is okay or something. I don't know, but I mean, maybe she's waiting for him. Maybe she's just happy that everything is good for her, at least for a baby. And
so I'm surprised to see that she went back over there though, because we all know that the Empire can drop at any time, and
they already went there. They did their control, and she was not like prime target. So she just got back there because B2 was there, because they had made friends. I think they were living there for a couple of years.
If a young Luke Skywalker can go back to Tatooine to hide, then I think that she can go back there to hide. I mean, I think it's just people have a bad habit.
You always need a wheat field, you know, to graze your land on top of the fields, like
like in Gladiator.
Like in Gladiator. So it's always you always need some stuff like that, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was definitely a tough scene.
Something just popped up in my head. You said her sacrifice was what helped Cassian made the ultimate
His
sacrifice.
yeah.
The whole show should have been called Sacrifice. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's basically
he
what it is.
sacrificed
Yeah.
something. You know, the Clea sacrificed Luthen, her father figure, for the rebellion. Luthen
Sacrifice everything, as he told us. Everything.
Cassian sacrificed his love for Bix and everybody else. Everybody, Mon Mothma sacrificed her whole life, her career for the rebellion. Everybody,
Cassian's mom,
Yeah.
and
yeah. So it could have been called Star Wars: The Sacrifice
the
Story.
ultimate sacrifice. Yeah.
The ultimate sacrifice.
But so overall as a series, it's been kind of like renowned. I guess you just see all over the internet how people say it was probably the best thing that and I would agree overall, whether it be season 1, season 2, or Rogue One, the whole Cassian saga
Arc, yeah.
is just definitely the best thing Disney's ever done. So I'm really glad, and it's it is more of an adult oriented story, with the exception to the Vader scene at the end of Rogue One. There's no flashy Jedis. There's none of this kind of stuff, right? So,
well, you could have adult targeted content with lightsabers. It's not because there's lightsaber that it cannot be as deep as it is.
Right.
It's the writing that is so good. The themes are so good. Like, it's all about sacrifice, no heroism. It's not like you're gonna be the hero. It's you're gonna sacrifice something so you can get you get the cause to move along, save the day and stuff like that. But not because you're gonna be a hero. But that doesn't mean that being the hero is for children or family and stuff like that. So it's just the way it was written, the way it was filmed. Was filmed like it was a movie. It was not like, oh, it's an animation show filmed like live action animation. It feels like more like the Acolyte, or not Acolyte,
what?
but Ahsoka. Ahsoka.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on the Acolyte.
I didn't say that, but it looks like it's filmed like it was made. It was made like an animation show with real people. Instead of that, was made like a movie.
So I really had that big box kind of like big box office kind of feel. It always looked like you were watching a movie. It didn't like it just. It was so well done. It's unfortunate we only had to like condense those last 4 years. I think in hindsight, after seeing the reaction to it, I think if they can go back, they would have done 4 more seasons instead of doing that. But it was already planned that way. And you know what? To be honest, I think that there was mixed emotions. I think from some people when it came to Andor season 1, because yes, a lot of people loved it. But I saw a lot of like people saying, "Oh, it's boring" and all this stuff. So maybe there was a bit of hesitation on how we're gonna move. But now it's everyone absolutely, well, not everyone. A lot of people, I guess, generally most people say it's the best thing, highest rated everywhere. Was it the 5 episodes in a row being rated 9.5? I forget who was it. Like it's just off the charts. And Tony Gilroy was said, this is a series that you didn't have to be a Star Wars fan to like anyone. He wanted to make something that anyone could enjoy without having to know anything about Star Wars, and I think it's an absolute success. I would recommend this series to anyone. If they want to go further after that and watch Star Wars, and that's entirely up to them, but I think it's quite polarizing compared to the other content that we have. That's when you get to the more spacey stuff, lightsabers and space battles.
And it's the proof that you don't have to stir the pot and serve as the same old recipe time after time when it comes to Star Wars. It's the first espionage series we get in the Star Wars universe, and it was fun. As Nico said, I like lightsabers. I own over 60 of them, and Rick is laughing.
Just when you said I like lightsabers, I'm like, anyone who's watching this on this channel right now knows.
For sure. But it's the proof that you don't need a superhero, read Jedi between the line, with superpowers to save the day. An ordinary Joe that used to be selfish and he had some debts all over Ferrix. People weren't liking him pretty much. They were tired of him, and he found his way, and he became a man with honor, with values, and capable of altruism.
Yeah.
So, in the span of those 5 years of his life, 2 years for us, we saw Cassian being like a jerk or not a guy you want to stick around with, to become one of the most important cog pieces for the success of the rebellion. So, it transmits good values, and it's all going with Lucas's philosophy.
Yeah.
When he says that the original trilogy was about giving the tools to the new generation to grow in life and make good, and after post Vietnam War and stuff like that. So
when he describes the dark side and the light side, and the dark side is like selfishness and greed and all this stuff.
True.
And it's almost like it's a transition, like you said, for Cassian, where he is more greedy, more looking out for himself, and in the end, it's all about helping others, or cause. He loses his selfishness and all that stuff, and that's where I guess, I don't want to say metaphorically, but he does turn to the light side, and that's where you can see your real heroes, right? It's when you're not worried about yourself, that's when you could shine. So I mean, for me, if we'll go through my final impressions of the show. Is it was probably, like I said, probably the best thing since the Disney era took over. I think like Nico said, it's all about the writing, and the quality visually, and like I said last time, if you compare it to a show like where I find that they try to they have something in mind, like they did with the Acolytes, and people, and when the people who didn't like Acolytes were being blamed and being sexist, homophobic, all this stuff, like this was all in, like strong female presence was all over this series.
Yeah, it was all female.
Yeah, I mean, you had the LGBT presence with Vel in there, and like, so it's like it was all in there. So the thing is, like I said, like if you can remove all those aspects that were put into the Acolytes would still be bad, in my opinion. Yeah, and you could add,
the writing was bad.
Yeah, you could add more of it to Andor, and it would still be good. So the thing is, like, now it's like, well, what are you gonna say? How is it that, like, why is it that men like this series and they have all the stuff that you said we hated in Acolytes, right? So it all comes down to the writing. If you're loyal to the fans, like Tony Gilroy had mentioned to the cast, is like, do this, like, keep the fans in mind, and that's, you can feel it. You could just feel it in this show, and that for me is totally respecting the fan base, and respecting really, like, the honor that have been, which is why Disney bought this in the first place, is because of these fans that have been loyal the whole time. You're not spitting in their face, and for me, that score for me is a 9.5 for this. I'll call it for the whole story arc of this. So I don't know who wants to give their last impressions on that one.
Well, Nico, you go first, but
well, it's a brilliant show. It's HBO style television, quality. It's so good. We're on our edge of our seats. Yeah, it's boring because it's all speeches.
It's development,
but those speeches,
too, right?
Yeah, it's development. It's character development. You learn stuff. It's not just pow in your face.
Well, so I had compared this to like a Christopher Nolan movie, right? Like, if you watch the first hour of a Christopher Nolan movie, you'll be like, this sucks, man. This is just
where is he going with it?
Yeah, exactly. But it leads up to that kind of end, which is just absolutely great, right? So that's why
and also, like, people says, oh, it's like it's boring, it's slow, but when you watch a show like Shogun, that was the same pace, the same depth of character, the same everything. Oh, it's a brilliant show.
It's because it's Star Wars, right? People are expecting, like,
funny thing, that's it. Well, they expect this comes back to the recipe I was talking about. They say Star Wars, they think of action-packed adventure.
Yeah.
But that's not what that series was. It was an espionage series, and espionage is like covert operation. It takes some time.
Mhm.
You need a build up to get the reward at the end. You need
But
to infiltrate the agents, and you need to, there's like the mission, and then there's like the planning and everything. So, I
in a
mean,
way, Solo was like that too, right? I mean, it wasn't flashy lightsabers and all this stuff. It was a little bit of like, it was a little slower
Yeah.
parts, what you
Mhm.
call espionage or whatever, with the train, the heist, and all this stuff.
mhm.
It was a little slower pace, and I actually really liked it. I think you guys really enjoyed
Love Solo.
Solo as well, right? It
We
was
love
just
Solo,
it was a
yeah.
timing thing with the Last Jedi, but like, I think that these are great projects that they've done. It's just when they try to not to like force this whole kind of like flashy lightsaber stuff and stuff, like they feel like they have to follow this recipe, and when people say, well, it's because when they try something new, you don't like it. Well, you know what, like they tried something new with Skeleton Crew. I liked it. I mean, it wasn't the best
very
series in the
good.
world,
Yeah.
but they tried something new. I liked it. And when they tried something new with the Acolytes, they failed.
Mhm.
This Andor is completely different. It was good. So like people just enjoy good writing, right? So
Mhm. Yep, it's all about the writing. Stories are about writing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have known?
Who would have thought? Yeah, I agree with you.
Who would have thought that if you have a great story, you have a great show,
Mhm.
So yeah, well, I'm gonna give my notes. It's the same probably as everybody else. It's like almost close to 10. It's like
Yeah.
9.5. It's
Mhm.
perfect. It's really good. The only thing that bothered me was the gap between the tie armor and the shin armor from the stormtroopers was too big of a gap. That's my only gripes for the whole show.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's my turn, and you both know that I'm always the toughest when it comes to
Oh yeah.
giving
everything.
Star Wars grades.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it a maybe five,
Shill.
5.5. Nah, just kidding. It's a
You're a
5.5
shill.
as well. It's good, as Nico said. It's good writing. It's a great story. I mean, what else can I add to what you guys have already said? It's Star Wars. I'm glad that we got to see a different Star Wars that we were used to see. They've proved me, as we mentioned, that it's possible to get good Star Wars without lightsabers. Yeah, it's always fun to see lightsabers. And I got my dose this winter while we're watching, the Clone Wars and the prequels, the stuff like that. So I got my lightsaber dose, and I was trending, in the timeline, and I almost made it through with Rebels. I still have season 4 to watch. Yeah, go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, just talking about thinking about that. What if Luthen in his collection, when he met Dedra, instead of the knife, he would have shown her a lightsaber, and he would have impaled
Oh.
himself with a lightsaber? That would have been
That would have been-
awesome.
oh
That
yeah,
would have killed everything,
like
that would have
Mace,
been the
and
place to
Mace
put one.
Windu with lightsaber that he found in the streets of Coruscant.
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah,
That
but
would have been
did you
really
guys notice
awesome.
when Nidra drops her box that has the Star Patch unit? There's like a Gungan skull
Yeah, well, I saw the
in,
picture.
in the background. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, is it?
Well, I saw the picture when people like
And I
talked
think
about
there's like a
Easter eggs.
meme now circulating that says my favorite moment of Andor with the skull of a Gungan.
The skull of Gungan.
Yeah,
But why does they have the
it's the ears. It's the
ears? Yeah,
yeah
cartilage.
the
well,
cartilage
it's
for
more
the
like
ears. Yeah.
bones or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. But
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah.
yeah, who cares? Who cares?
But did you guys, speaking of Gungans, we'll just digress real quick, the whole Fortnite thing that came out, did you guys see that they finally had
Yeah,
Darth
Jar
Jar
Jar.
Jar?
I saw
Mhm.
that
And
like
the,
just before the show.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that the first time we actually... No, actually, I think we saw him in the Lego thing, right?
Yeah, they go
yeah.
rebuild the galaxy, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Hey, another thing, we had
Mhm.
E.T. Like the
Yeah,
the
E.T.'s
race,
grandmother.
E.T.'s race. Yeah, E.T.'s grandmother was in the show, so we were wondering if there was gonna be a E.T. delegation in the Senate,
Yeah.
like in the prequels, but we saw that there was a old lady that looked pretty much like a old
But I saw another
version of
picture of
E.T..
that thing, that it was the one that Clea was with, no? That was pushing
Yeah,
or something?
in the hospital.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
But
old
Yeah,
the
but I
old-
saw
the old
another
lady.
picture from another angle. It didn't look anything like it. So maybe I'm wrong.
No,
about
I don't
that.
think it's his species, to be honest.
No,
but
yeah, you're right. Okay.
it-
Come
it's
on,
pretty
it
close.
is. It is.
I
Come
would have
on.
loved
I'll
it
find
to
you that other
be-
picture. You're gonna see it. It looks.
The back of the head doesn't.
It was
match.
not-
Well,
the
we
face
don't look
was from
like
the bottom.
everybody else, you know. It's another. It's from another part of the planet. You know?
Ah, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's from the southern parts or something.
Yeah. They are more like
Southern Hemisphere, yeah.
Yeah.
sharp. Oh,
So Dom, continue. So where are you going with this? And I know you're gonna be harsh on the score, like you said.
Well, yeah, well, it's 9.5 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
It's hard to give it a 10 because you just like you don't know what else could come. But like I think it's. I mean, everything. You know, I'm not saying it's as close to perfect as you can get, right? So, but
Yeah.
like I feel like if anything ever comes out afterwards, which I'm kind of pessimistic, anything will top this. But like, especially with the projects that we do know is coming, I don't see any reason why anything like that is
Yeah.
going to take over this whole story arc. So.
The only few things that bothered me between the series and the movie is the pacing. Because I know it's a 2-hour movie, it's not a 2-season series, but
Yeah.
it feels like everything is more action packed, like the typical Star Wars fan like.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack. I mean, I love what is it, Nicholas Britell, who did the music for the first season. The second one is not Mr. Britell, it's somebody else. Maybe, I think Nico is working on it. So,
yeah. I'm trying to.
but
find it.
you know, in Rogue One, it's much more up tempo. You know, and in the first 2 seasons, it's like more. I don't want to use the word depressing, but it's like more melancholic, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, up tempo with Gorman is a little bit tough, right? So it's
Yeah, you put the good old Imperial March. No, I'm just kidding.
But there's also the fact that it was season 1 was one full year. It had a certain vibe to it, and then you had the 4 different vibes coming. Because like I think I mentioned, like for me, like season 1 felt like a little bit of a Blade Runner-ish kind of like feel at times, and then I remember we had also noticed that at the beginning of the opening logo, when you would see it every few episodes, it would change the music for that as
the
well.
opening was different, yeah.
Yeah. So, but there was like the wedding song that was like that
up tempo,
remake.
yeah.
So,
Digamos.
so when we had spoken about like episodes that they could have redone, I think the last 3 episodes were a little bit slower, but you needed that to kind of tie into Rogue One.
To the movie.
But if you're gonna talk about episodes that I might have skipped, I mean, I'd probably go back to the wedding, all that stuff. They could have probably found a way to put a little bit more action there, especially the way that the first season started. That kind of standoff with the crew that was on Yavin. I thought that was a little slow and stuff. Like I think
that portion with the crew Raven, I could have.
I could have went without. They could have accelerated the wedding a little bit. That's
the wedding was so fun because of the sets and the costumes.
Yeah,
but
that's
the
what
actual
I loved
wedding,
about those arcs.
The actual wedding was great, but the old setup going to like all the preparation with the bride before that, like 5 days of partying and stuff like that. That was kind of dragging a bit.
Yeah, the hiking that they do, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was, I mean, and we'd gone over it, like I give them like a 7.5. Like a lot of people thought really enjoyed the first 3 episodes, but like I just thought it was like a little bit like, in hindsight, I wish they would have made a little bit of a different, have a little mission in there to kind of accelerate things, especially maybe dig a little bit deeper with the beginning when he escapes with the ship and all that stuff. But it just out of nowhere, poof, gone, right? Like so. There was that it wasn't without his controversy for the assaulting of Bix and stuff like that, but I mean, it's going to take
maybe
a lot
someone
more than
being poisoned at the wedding, could have been interesting.
It's just because the thing is, you had the whole wedding and then you never see her again, right? So it's like it was just like you just gave us 3 episodes on this, which after that, that whole she's gone, you don't even really see the husband. It's just like. So
I'm sorry with I have my brain all over the place, but the wedding made me think about the wardrobe also. That's gonna get nominated.
For Emmy Awards for sure.
Yeah, all the new costume we
Yeah.
have for the 501st people, all the new
Phew.
officers with the armors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
And even
wardrobe.
the ISB, there's like 2 or 3 variants for the ISB
Mhm.
officers. The one
all
like
the
at the ball with the ropes on the shoulder.
Mhm.
I want one. To
Yeah.
be honest, I want a jacket like that.
Yeah,
But
so
that's-
the whole wardrobe was on point.
Well,
So
here's crew that came in, like they look pretty, badass with their equipment as well. Like so,
I mean,
Hey,
just on Mutma's dresses, they were like
Mhm.
breathtaking. I could see like a movie star wearing dresses like that for the Oscars or
well, Pedro
something like
Pascal
that.
is always wearing those type of robes.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens. It'd be pretty interesting to see them win a bunch of awards, right? Like, whether it be for directing or something a little bit more than special effects and stuff like that.
I
right?
think
That
they're
we
gonna
usually
get
see.
nominated for best drama series,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
wardrobe, and set design.
Set design, yeah.
Set design, yeah.
Mm.
Those are the 3 I'm willing to put, not money but credits, if I can say on that.
Credits.
So yeah.
Well, that's. I guess we all agree 9.5 probably the best thing that Disney.
It's unanimous.
So, yeah. So
And a lot more reliable than Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb.
yeah, right. There's no one skewing our votes here.
We're not biased.
So, what do you think now? What's next? What are we moving on to after this?
Well, it's gonna be dark times for the Star Wars galaxy, the Star Wars universe, because there's not a lot of content coming in our way
the Ahsoka season 2 is
in the
about
short
it, right?
future. Yeah, they're filming the very next Star Wars projects will be Visions in the fall. So and it's all released in the same time. I don't know if we're gonna get to watch them, with the screeners and stuff like that. But
Well, we did Tales of the Underworld, right? So I mean, that's something.
Yeah,
a little bit
Tales of
more
the
if you
Underworld
haven't
was-
watched it.
yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think I preferred a Sage story more than Cal, but Cal was. I think it was a bit more predictable, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get the opportunity to talk about it more in details.
I actually have to go
in
back
another
and
show.
I have to watch because the first 2 episodes I actually watched.
You saw them on Fortnite, yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
like they were
nice.
out. They were out before the episodes actually released.
Mhm.
You were able to access the first 2 episodes, and then there's a map you can kind of play in and gain these points and whatnot.
Yeah,
so,
and let me know if you want to do maybe a shortened show about that because
yeah.
I'll be watching for
I'll
sure.
start by watching it. Right now, I'm binging F1 stuff, so it's like
Yeah,
I gotta make room for that. So
Yeah.
I'm watching Silo with my girlfriend.
I had started it. But
I've
I
heard
didn't,
all good stuff about that.
Yeah, it's all well. We read the book and then we just got Apple TV Plus to watch the series on there.
Nice.
So it's a really good book. It's a three series book. So
Okay.
All right, so you know what? Like
Awesome.
on that, let's end right before leaving. So since we're waiting for Star Wars, what do you recommend? I guess Nico, is that it? If you were to
Yep,
recommend
Silo.
something, Silo. That's your
well, if you want to read something, Silo. If you want to watch something, well, I haven't finished the first 2 seasons. They're working on a 3rd season. It's a bit like Ready Player One, where the book and the movie are kind of 2 separate things. So if you read the book and you want to see the book, you're not gonna get the book. It's like an interpretation of the series of the things. But yeah, it's really awesome. It's like Fallout-ish because they live in kind of a vault, stuff like that. So yeah, that would be my recommendation for waiting for a new Star Wars stuff.
I will give my vote to The Last of Us. I've just completed my season 1 rewatch, and I was hoping, not hoping, but waiting for more episodes to be released to binge watch them pretty quick on HBO. So that's gonna be my my next show.
I kind of fell off of Last of Us.
I am not watching that. I am not watching that. I just like, because I mean, I'm not spoiling anything, but like anyone who's played,
You've played the game, right?
yeah, I played it. So anyone who's
Okay,
played The Last of Us 2 knows what happens early in the thing. And the problem is, once that happens, you lose a major aspect of what made The Last of Us
series good.
1 really good. I
Okay.
think that, like, yeah, so I think that there's a bit of a twist. I mean, I don't know, Dom, if you watched, but anyway, once you lose that aspect, I think it's hard to look past. And to be honest with you, I had a hard time playing the game.
Okay.
I was just like, ugh. So anyway, you'll see. But I am not really. I have no desire to watch season 2 just because I kind of know what's gonna happen. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, you'll see. We'll talk about it maybe another time. Not
Yeah,
here,
yeah. As
but,
soon as I'm done with season 2, I'll let you know. But
I'll let you know. And the things that I've seen, the memes and all this stuff that have been coming out, like, have just really not helped my desire to watch this at all. I'm already.
People are cruel. People are cruel.
They are
man.
very cruel. But to be honest with you, I Bella Ramsey, is that her name?
Yep.
If you've played the game, and it has nothing to do with the fact of her being pretty or ugly or anything like that, she does not embody Ellie from the game at all. She's got a good attitude and stuff like that, but like, I just don't buy it. The way that a video game can be so much more expressive, but unfortunately Bella Ramsey is just her. She doesn't have an expressive face. So it's hard to, like, I don't know. I just don't buy it. And unfortunately, even with season 1, I was like, meh. I had a hard time, and I don't know. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. But
another show I watched lately was Daredevil. I'm surprised Nico didn't talk about it early on, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
go look at Ojaz Marvel if you want to hear about it, though.
Yeah.
In French, though. In French.
Yeah.
In French, yeah.
But Thunderbolts is one I've been meaning to go watch, though. So
it's fun. It's good. Very fun movie. It felt like, when I got out of the movie, I said it felt like it was phase 1 or phase 2 of Marvel, because it's grounded, it's character development, it's character centric. So it's not just like, oh, there's a big meteorites that's coming to the earth and we need to save it. It's more like character growth. So it feels really like it was in the beginning of the MCU. So
well,
no, it's a really good fun.
I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four. I find there's exciting things to come now. Except I think Ironheart, I don't really have much of too much hype for that. So
yeah, and we're supposed to get an Alien series coming from. I'll watch that for sure.
Yeah.
I've always been a big Aliens franchise fan. So
speaking of Alien Romulus, the girl who played that, I forget her name right now. She should have been Ellie. She apparently auditioned for it.
Okay.
But if you remember that, I think that she should have been Ellie.
It's Killers of Killers, Predators, Killers of Killers.
That's the Predator. Yeah.
Premiere on June 6th.
So when we saw the weird face there in the picture.
I think so. Yeah.
So I'll put it on different notes, just because I'm watching it now. If you want something that's not, I guess,
Star Wars related,
or fiction of any kind, I'm watching the documentary F1. And that's something that, even if you haven't, it's called Drive to Survive, I think is the name of the series. And even if you're not a fan of F1, then it's such an interesting documentary to watch. I think there's like 7 seasons of this so far. So
it's not a documentary per se. It's more like a drama.
Because it's the stuff that you don't realize happens behind the scenes of this whole the team, and they're really, like, they're out there. Like, there's not many secrets going on, things I didn't really understand, I guess, in the business. And I grew up kind of watching it when I was a kid, and I kind of drifted off because people might not know, we have we benefit from the fact that we have a Grand Prix locally here, which is there's 22 in the whole world, and we're very lucky to have it here. So back in the Jacques Villeneuve days and everything, and I just kind of like got away from it. And my kid got into F1 recently because of Max Verstappen. I got back into watching the series, and now I'm all in. I watched it yesterday morning. I mean, yesterday. No, I watched it this morning. Sorry, my timing is completely off. And but yeah, it's I'm all in. So that's my recommendation if you want something that's a little bit nonfiction. So
All right, that's cool. So I guess we're gonna wrap things up for now. Obviously, you'll hear more from us in the upcoming weeks, months. Who knows? But as of now, thanks for everyone who watched our show throughout those 4 weeks slash series of episodes. It's always fun to cover Star Wars content, whether it's good or bad. I would like to thank Disney Canada for handing us the screeners for the show. It really was helpful for our preparation. I remember that when I began watching the show, I was not expecting to watch all 12 episodes during the same weekend, but I'm that crazy. So I began on Friday night and I finished on Sunday. So yeah, it was a pretty hectic weekend, but what a ride! I had a lot of fun covering that with you, Eric, and I was really glad Nico was available to join us for the very last show. So the band was back together for one last hurrah for Andor. So thank you guys for joining us. And if you enjoy our content, I mean, go check out, and if you speak French, for example, go check out Angers Marvel on Twitch and on Facebook as well.
Twitch is Nico Crank, Facebook and Spotify is Angers Marvel. So tomorrow is going to be Angers Star Wars. If everything goes right, I'm going to have Anne-Sophie, or Geek Girls, a cosplayer that went for her first Star Wars celebration visit in Japan. So she's going to come back and talk about that. And we're going to talk a bit of Andor also. But I wanted to have her perspective for a first timer at Star Wars Celebration. How is it? So
nice.
We're gonna
awesome. And follow Eric on Spark of the Force. He's on Instagram. As he mentioned early on in the show, it's a little bit less active on YouTube, but it doesn't cost a thing just to hit subscribe. So you'll be notified when there's some new content. Hit the notification bell just to be sure you don't miss a thing. And as for me, I keep releasing Star Wars related products reviews every week with the help of Nico Crank, who is the man behind the camera, the video editor, my main critic, the guy who pushes me to become better and better every week. So we're having a lot of fun working together. And we have also our friend Revan, who's helping us with the thumbnails now. So every Friday around 1 p.m. You'll have a full brand new review. So a lot of cool stuff coming up in the upcoming weeks. I got a statue, a Chewbacca statue coming up also pretty soon. So it should be pretty fun to cover that. It's pairing with Han Solo statue that I reviewed last fall. So it's gonna be pretty fun to review that piece, and of course the MSC droid and the Shenari and Balin's cold lightsabers. So a bit of everything is coming.
The armor's helmet.
Yeah.
Next week.
Should be fun. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for sticking with us.